Hey, what's up guys, Soakdeep here. So we have the iPhone 16 Pro Max in black titanium with us here today. I've gone with the base model with 256 gigabytes of storage this year. Let's get straight into unboxing this bad boy. So the box this year looks pretty similar to most years. So if we'll just peel off this tab on the side. Oh, that's always very satisfying. It's actually one thing I noted during my unboxing of the Google Pixel 9 Pro was that the unboxing for that phone just wasn't very satisfying. So credit to Apple for keeping their box game consistent. But yeah, here you can see the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I'm just going to put this onto the side for now. And let's see what else we get in the box. So obviously we've got our braided USB-C to USB-C cable. I'm a bit disappointed over the fact that these braided cables aren't color matched. I was a big fan of how the cables that you get with the M4 iPad Pro were matched to the color of the iPad. And for a product as popular as the iPhone, I don't know, I feel like it would have been nice if Apple could give us, some more space black USB-C cables. But realistically, it's not the end of the world. So we'll just put this to the side here. And one noticeable change with the iPhone 16s this year is that we don't get any Apple stickers in this box. I'm guessing that's because of environmental reasons, but yeah, I mean, I guess this is all we get in the box now. So we'll put this all to one side and let's take a look at the iPhone 16 Pro itself, or Pro Max, I should say. So let's peel this off. That's also very satisfying. And I'm not going to lie, this does look basically identical to my iPhone 15 Pro Max. I'll show you some B-roll shots now because the iPhone 15 Pro Max is actually what's being used to record this video. So I'll show you some B-roll comparing the two phones. But yeah, it looks pretty much identical. Obviously, the main difference this year is the inclusion of that new capture button, which you can see on the side here. So this is a new feature available across the entire iPhone 16 lineup this year. This new camera control button, which Apple aren't calling a button for some reason, even though I'm pretty sure if you click it, yeah, I mean, that feels like a physical click. It's definitely a button. But yeah, it's quite funny because you'd have thought that Apple would be the last company on the planet to add another button to their phone. And it will be interesting to see how useful this camera button becomes during day-to-day usage. A lot of you guys will know that I'm heavily into my photography and videography on my iPhone. The iPhone is what I use to shoot all of these YouTube videos with, and all of the photos you see across my Instagram and Twitter. So it will be interesting to see if this camera control button improves that experience. Obviously, I did go with black titanium this year. I feel like ever since I tried out the iPhone 14 Pro in silver, I've had this massive paranoia when it comes to experimenting with phone colors because I really did not like the silver color on the iPhone 14 Pro. I actually thought it looks really ugly. So I think I will be sticking to the darker colors for the time being. And I'll just show you a lineup of all of the iPhones that I currently have. So we've got the iPhone 16 Pro Max at the very end on the left-hand side. We've got the iPhone 14 Pro next to it, followed by the iPhone 10, the iPhone 6s Plus, and the iPhone 4 at the very right. Can't show you the 15 Pro Max because that's what I'm using to record this footage with, but you can see how much the phones have evolved over time. It's actually pretty wild to think that we came from this tiny little thing with the iPhone 4 to this giant 6.9-inch iPhone 16 Pro Max. So the screen sizes for the iPhone 16 Pros this year are slightly larger, which I'm not really sure what they were thinking behind that was. I mean, I guess it allows Apple to include slightly larger batteries, which I know a lot of people online have been praising with these new iPhone 16s, but equally, the base model iPhone 16s also saw a huge jump in battery life, despite staying the same size. So I don't see why Apple couldn't have done the same thing with the Pros without increasing the size. But holding this thing in the hand, it doesn't really feel that different to my iPhone 15 Pro Max in terms of comfort and size. The one thing I am noticing immediately though is that the bezels look a lot thinner. I can definitely tell that the bezels look slimmer on this phone. And to be honest, it's almost making my iPhone 14 Pro, which was only released 2 years ago, look quite outdated now. So I guess that's modern consumerism for you. So I'm just going to power this thing on. And whilst that's happening, I wanted to quickly run through what's new with this phone. So I have some notes on my iPad here just to make sure that I don't misread anything. So these phones do have the new A18 Pro Bionic chip from Apple. They come with 8 gigabytes of RAM, like the 817 Pro, to run Apple Intelligence. Obviously, AI was a big talking point for this event because now all of the iPhone 16 models support it. It's not just restricted to the Pro models. But Apple Intelligence is in beta right now, so it's actually going to be quite difficult to test how good these features actually are. And I also don't feel like 8 gigabytes of RAM is enough to future-proof these devices for when it comes to running on-device AI tasks, especially considering the fact that 6 gigabytes wasn't enough by Apple's own standards. And if Apple are planning on rolling out more AI features in the future, sure, this phone might be fine for the next 2 to 3 years, but yeah, I don't know. In 5 years' time, will having 8 gigabytes of RAM be enough for this iPhone 16 Pro Max to get all of those future Apple Intelligence features? Who knows? We also have a new 48 megapixel ultra wide sensor on the back. So, this ultra wide should finally be able to take high quality photos, especially in low light. Now, I'm personally not a huge user of the ultra wide sensor on my iPhone, but I do know that a lot of people do like to use the ultra wide, especially when it comes to getting sort of more funky, unique looking shots. And it's quite popular for a lot of street photographers. So it's good to see Apple bumping up the resolution of this camera. We can also now shoot at 120 frames per second in 4K to get that super slow mo footage, along with some new studio quality mics, which I have heard a lot of people praising online. So it will be interesting to test the quality of these new microphones. And of course, both iPhone models now have the same camera system with that 5x telephoto lens. So the 3x lens is completely gone, which means that you no longer need to go for just the Pro Max model to get that 5x lens. Obviously, this is a very minor upgrade as far as iPhone updates go. It's actually the reason why I recently went out and bought a Google Pixel 9 Pro, because I feel like iPhone upgrades have gotten so stale that there really isn't much to talk about with them. But equally, I feel like it sort of does make sense because smartphones have just gotten so good nowadays. You know, the days of us getting revolutionary upgrades year to year are long gone. They've been long gone for years at this point now. So I'm not entirely sure why people online are so surprised that the iPhone 16 is, yeah, another incremental upgrade. I feel like that's more of an expectations issue. And obviously, there are so many times that you can redesign what is essentially just a piece of glass with a slab on the back. But yeah, given that the Apple Intelligence features won't be rolling out until next month, and they'll only be in beta to begin with in US English only, it is making me question how I'm going to actually review this phone without just repeating my iPhone 15 Pro Max review. In fact, I could probably use the iPhone 15 Pro Max in my B-roll and I doubt anyone would notice. But yeah, those are some of my first impressions of the new iPhone 16 Pro Max. I will, of course, be testing this phone out more thoroughly over the next 2 weeks. I'll be seeing what the new cameras are like, how the battery life fares, and also how that screen size fares compared to the 15 Pro Max. So make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss that video. And let me know in the comments below which aspects of this phone you're interested to hear more about, because I am going to need some ideas for this review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for the next one.